Good morning. Since plenty of details have come in, the purpose of this video is to put into correct perspective the ground situation in Ladakh as well as the diplomatic talks which are going on in Delhi and Beijing, because it is from these two that the way forward would be found. So I would like to start with a basic primer, very short primer, talking about how the Chinese and the Indians, they think differently. Now, insofar as the Chinese are concerned, they always see the strategic picture and they exercise strategic patience. Basically, something that they have learned from the game which is popular in their country, which is Weiqi. So for them, the key thing is the strategic picture is very important. After that, then they get down to the military aspect. And in the military aspect, they always look at the operational level, the campaign level. The tactics is least important for them. Tactics only matters insofar as it helps further their strategy through their campaign level thinking. That is all that the tactics does for them. Now, with India, it's the opposite. In India, we lay a lot of emphasis on tactics. Tactics, whether it is the army, the military, or whether it is the government. We are looking for instant results because those are important, because they are the ones that mold the perception management. So this is a very big difference. Now, having said this, in the talks which are going on, what is it that the Chinese want? It is very clear now that the Chinese are looking at the April 2018 Wuhan consensus. They want the consensus to be implemented. Now, what is this consensus? In this consensus, it was agreed by Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping that India and China, they will be partners and not rivals. Now, China believes that they have, in the true spirit of the consensus, been a partner to India, but India, on the other hand, is behaving like a rival. For example, India has helped further the US Indo-Pacific strategy. It seems to be giving impetus to the quadrilateral dialogue. It has gone ahead and restricted the Chinese FDI in select sectors. Then the Chinese, it has prohibited certain medical exports, and this is a very long list. So basically, the Chinese have concluded that they are behaving not like partners but like the rivals. And the most provocative thing that the Chinese noticed was on the 5th of August 2019, last year, when constitutionally and legally the status of the state of Jammu and Kashmir was divided into two union territories, and they openly said, the Chinese, twice, that the status quo they had to be restored of Ladakh Union Territory. They do not accept that. So they were very upset with that. Now, as we mentioned Ladakh, in very quick points, a bit about Ladakh is important. Why they are so much worked up, the Chinese are worked up about Ladakh becoming a union territory. Though India has repeatedly, the Foreign Minister Jaishankar went to Beijing, explained to them that look, it does not change anything on the ground, but they're not happy with that. Now, the reason is Ladakh never had a border with China, period. Right from the time when the British Empire, British India, it annexed the state of Jammu and Kashmir in 1846, and right till they left the subcontinent, they constantly tried, they cajoled, requested, did everything with the Chinese to accept or to agree to a border, which instead what they have is a frontier. Now there's a big difference between the two. Frontier is basically an open place where both sides can move freely, do trade, do everything. It's a civilizational thing. But the Britishers failed. And this failure has been recorded. It has been recorded in the official Indian map. When the Constitution of India came into force in 1950, there it was clearly shown that whereas the eastern sector, it had a settled international border, McMahon Line of 1914, which in any case the Chinese do not accept. But in the western sector, the official map clearly wrote that the boundary is undefined. So this was the situation in 1950. Then, for the first time, when Premier Chow En Lai came looking for a border settlement and he met up with Prime Minister Nehru, before that he sent a letter. This letter was dated, very important letter insofar as Chinese are concerned. It was dated 7th November 1959. So this 59 letter said that we are willing for a package deal, and the package will be, we will accept de facto your so-called McMahon Line in the eastern sector if you agree to accepting in the western sector, which is Ladakh, the actual disposition of the two sides what they were holding. So this line of control, if you accept in the western sector, we can resolve the border. But Prime Minister Nehru rejected that. So that became their claim line at that time, but it was rejected, the claim line of November 59. Then, after the war, 62 war, when it was over, on 20th of November 1962, from their claim line, the Chinese went back. They went back 20 kilometers, which became a demilitarized zone, again not formalized. Now, over a period of time, what happened is that it was forgotten by the Indian side. They also did not remind, and the infrastructure kept building up on both sides. Until 1993, when Prime Minister Narasimha Rao went to China and signed the Agreement of Peace and Tranquility, the entire border now was renamed as the line of actual control. But insofar as India is concerned, India said that this was a concept. Now, how can a military line be a concept? This is something I had dwelled in detail in one of my earlier videos. It just shows a lack of understanding of our diplomats at that time about what the line of actual control, a military line, actually means. Now, next step was in 2002, when the Bajpayee government was there. That is the time the two sides had decided that, look, we will exchange and see each other's map sector wise. So the middle sector was the easiest, which is the present Uttaranchal and Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh was the easiest to do. There was hardly any dispute there. Insofar as the western sector was concerned, again Ladakh, the Chinese side showed the map, their understanding of the border to the Indians, and immediately withdrew it. Because the Indians were horrified, but nothing came out in the press. Now, after that, the most important thing that happened was during the visit of Chinese Prime Minister Wen Jiabao in December 2010. On the eve of his visit to India, China declared that its border with India was a mere 2,000 kilometers. It did not have a border in Ladakh. That is going back to the earlier letter, which was what I said in the beginning, that they never had a border. That is the fact. And all they had was a claim line in Ladakh, which was suggested in November 59 by Premier Chow En Lai. That was the position. Now, at this stage, India said that no, we have a border there in Ladakh and our total border is 3488 kilometers, which includes Ladakh. Beyond that, nobody in this country, no analyst, nobody asked the government that can you please explain this discrepancy that the Chinese are today saying we don't have a border with you in Ladakh. But this was never raised, this matter. Now, on the 5th of August 2019, last year, not only constitutionally and legally, India created a union territory of Ladakh. The Union Home Minister Amit Shah, he said in Parliament that Akshay Chin which is right now under the occupation of the Chinese, will be part of the Ladakh Union Territory. Now, this would not have been music for the Chinese, but they kept quiet. They kept quiet till October 2019, when President Xi Jinping came for the second informal summit in Chennai. Now, this was completely missed out by the Indian press. It came out in the Chinese press that one of the key things Xi spoke with Modi was talking about this Ladakh UT and talking about a trilateral cooperation between three countries to move forward under the Wuhan spirit, and the three countries being India, China and Pakistan. Now, this was not accepted by the Indian government at all. So, it was because they felt all this while that not only has the Wuhan spirit been adhered to in the rivalry, this is their perspective, Chinese, in the rivalry that is on total display by the Modi government, they have gone ahead and changed the status quo of Ladakh, which never had any border. So, this is where everything started a month back on the 5th of May. It was a very well planned move. Undoubtedly, they made ingresses at 3 or 4 places in Ladakh. It's all there in the media. And on the 9th of May, they also came into North Sikkim, our vulnerability. The pass is Nakula. They came there. Now they have pitched the tents there. And they have come good about into our perception of the line of actual control, and now I'm talking of the 1993 line of actual control, which was created when Narasimha Rao went to China. So, according to reports, they have come about 3 to 4, even 5 kilometers, and the critical thing what is being spoken of today is that they have come to Galwan Valley, which was never a disputed area. Much as they have come into Nakula in North Sikkim, which was not disputed. Now, what the Chinese are saying is that you restore the status quo ante. That means until their 1959 claim line, that is their territory, and you have ingressed, and you have to now remove this, and we will take our positions. And they are also suggesting that North Sikkim, Nakula, can be seen as an early harvest for amicable relationship, for cooperation under the Wuhan spirit, which can then be a step towards the border resolution. So this is where the situation is. Undoubtedly, it is a difficult situation, which is why right now their proposals, the Chinese have said that we are willing to meet halfway in the Wuhan cooperation that was promised. Now that halfway has still not been defined, or if it has been defined, what is there halfway, it has not come out in the media, or few people know, and it's not being communicated. So this is insofar as the big picture is concerned, and on the ground, this is what they have done. They have come inside our perception, our LAC, perception of LAC, especially Galwan. Now, let's move on, because this political and diplomatic things, right now the political aspect has not started, because the diplomatic things looks very difficult. How can India go and now say that, all right, we cut off from Indo-Pacific strategy, we cut off from various other things. So that is difficult now for the Modi government. Now see the military dimension. The military dimension, to say at the beginning, is laughable. Why I say that is, it shows a complete lack of understanding of warfare, and it shows a complete lack of understanding of what a face-off is about. Now this entire military dimension, it hinges on 3 factors. I will discuss those 3 factors. Now these 3 factors have been built up to give a perception. Now a narrative is being created, a perception is being created that India will not buckle in. India has been surprised, undoubtedly, by their coming in a very planned way, And in fact, today some reports have even suggested that because they have come into Galwan Valley, and this is being seen as a very major strategic move. I will explain what that is. So even the Northern Army commander and the is basically his head is on the chopping board. If I can say in favor of the Northern Army commander, the point is he can do very little for the simple reason A, he like the other commanders is completely focused on the CI ops. So that is where his focus is, because the top leader General Rawat, his focus is CI ops. And number two, when you have after Doklam, today you have 200,000 PLA troops doing regular exercise in Tar. How much time does it take for them to move anywhere on the LAC? You see, in a matter of speaking, you say Jack Robinson and they'll be there. So anyway, this is one aspect. So basically what the Indian Army has done is now they are saying, all right, we got surprised, though that is incorrect, but they are saying we are beefing up our capabilities, and in that what has been done is Indian Army has brought in a lot of tanks, lot of guns, lot of equipment, manpower, everything has come in. Now, what is being suggested by this is that look, we are standing firm, we'll face up to the PLA. The problem with this is very simple. The problem with this is that the weapon is not there. What is a weapon? A weapon is never a platform. Weapon is not a tank or a gun, the weapon is the ammunition. This is no secret that the Indian Army and the Indian Armed Forces are in dire need of specialized ammunition. So what is the point of moving all this if you do not have, because there are no reports which are suggesting that in this little time we could get ammunition from outside. On the other hand, insofar as Chinese is concerned, PLA, they have a surplus of ammunition. Their production lines are all automated. So you see, this beefing up doesn't make sense. Then on top of that, how long can this remain beefed up? Where is the habitat? Where is the military ecosystem for a permanent stay there? This is all temporary. Whereas they have both the things there in Tibet Autonomous Region. So you see, this is more a perception which is being created. It is not real, and the Chinese understand that. The second point that is being said is, very clever point is being made by analysts, by government people as well. And the argument is that the line of actual control does not matter. Now what they are saying is that line of actual control, when it came into being in 1993, it was always a concept. So if the Chinese have come 3-4 kilometers inside that, how does it matter? Now, the problem with this narrative is, if this line of control did not matter, can the CDS General Rawat stand up and tell the government as the sole military advisor that why was the Indian Army for 27 years holding that line if it didn't matter? Why was it holding that line day out, day in, without infrastructure, lugging their equipment, going there, sitting at heights of 23, 24,000 without even proper habitat if it didn't matter? So you see, these are false narratives. And the most interesting of them is actually has been spoken of by many other, but I heard the military advisor to the National Security Advisory Board, Lieutenant General Narasimhan, S.L. Narasimhan, give this to the people through television. Now what he says is that the reason why the Chinese have done what they have done the ingress, is because they got perturbed by India's fast infrastructure development, which is happening very fast. And the second reason he says is that this can lead to more face-offs, because now the Indian Army can patrol because of this coming infrastructure right till the line of actual control. It can lead to more face-offs, and the PLA cannot be comfortable with this. And this is the reason why this ingress was done. And special attention is being paid to a particular road which is being called a strategic road, whatever that means. It is operational road, certainly not a strategic, but nuances the word besides. It is a road that goes from Darbuk, Shiok River, Daulatbai Goldi, and it serves the subsector north. And what the Chinese have done is they have come and they have sort of blocked. They are today, because they are holding some heights, they are in a position to cut this road off, and everybody is worried that this road should not get cut off. Now there are 2 points here. When we talk of mobilization, first of all, before I go to mobilization, let's talk the face-off with the point that General Narasimhan made. Now what needs to be understood is that if there is a face-off, or whenever there is a face-off between the Indian Army and the PLA at the line of actual control, the PLA will always emerge stronger and not the Indian Army. Perhaps even despite the numbers, which in any case the numbers are usually more, and the reason for that is the center of gravity of the face-off is never the point of contact. The center of gravity of a face-off is always where the mass is. And the mass in the case of PLA is right there in the Tibet Autonomous Region. What I said, 200,000 troops are training there, they are sitting there. So much for this argument of face-off. Now let's come to the argument being made about mobilization for war. They are saying that because of this infrastructure, we can do faster mobilization for war. Now, here there are two issues involved. First is, when you say fast mobilization, how fast are you talking of? I mean, in 2009, the Indian Army rightly said that the PLA will take something like 30 days to build up and launch. I mean, their rail communication, road communication, airlift capabilities. But today, it's the forces in being. They are sitting right there, as I said, post Doklam. Now, the other thing which is being said is that if we can mobilize faster, then we can take on the PLA. This shows a complete disregard for how the warfare is evolving. As I said earlier also in one of my videos, Indians see only the linear battlefield, that we will mobilize and we will be at those choke points and we'll cover those. This is not the way the PLA sees it. For the PLA, there are 6 battlefields that talk of a battle space. The 3 battlefields in the physical world are land, sea and air, and in the virtual world are cyberspace and electromagnetic spectrum, and this is where it will start the war. The PLA will not start the war where you want it to start the war. It will start the war in the virtual space, and it is here it has a capability, cyber capability. I explained in one of my videos, to bring the entire nation to its knees, even without firing a shot. So what are we talking about? Mobilization. So basically, this is not understanding at all the war philosophy of the PLA today and how and where it is shaping up. And it has all to do with years of being focused on our Western Front and nothing more than that, doing CIOps. Now, if this is the situation on the ground, as I said, the Chinese are saying that, look, come halfway, Wuhan spirit, Wuhan consensus has to be agreed to. And we say, all right, we are not doing that. We can show that we are firm on the ground. What happens next? Now, what will certainly happen next is that the line of actual control, like the line of control, will become a live line. What that means is, expect many and more frequent incursions in Ladakh by the PLA. And because they have the mass and they have the weapons, these are the guys who will always seem to have an upper hand. By the time we develop an ecosystem, develop the habitat, do our training, it will take a long time. So, and what stops them from coming to their claim line? So the point here is that, do we want two fronts to be hotted up? One front where the military coercion will work very strongly, and the second front where in any case the firing is going on, and there are already reports that it started, it's hotting up. So the point here is that we have to sit down and review our strategy. Do we need to adhere to the consensus? Because otherwise the road becomes very slippery and dangerous. Thank you very much. The other point that I wish to make, besides the video, which I made in my last video also, that if you like the video, because now Force Magazine will be doing them regularly. We will be looking at the subcontinent. We'll be looking at all aspects which concerns India's security, including the defense industry. My colleague Ghazala Wahab will also be involved in this. So what I wish to request is that if you like this video that I've been doing, it will be good, it will be highly appreciated if you could subscribe. It's all free, but it helps us to reach a larger viewership. Thank you so much.